Chapter 1, Arrival. I arrived in Black Hollow just as the last tendrils of fog began to lift from the hills. The village looked like it had been untouched for centuries, cobbled streets, old stone cottages, and a thick scent of peat in the air. As a historian, I had always romanticized such places. But something about this one felt different. I was here to investigate Crowhurst Hall, a 19th-century manor abandoned since the 1870s. Most records were missing. The ones that existed were vague at best, hinting at unexplained disappearances and family curses. Naturally, it intrigued me. The innkeeper, a gray-bearded man named Clive, handed me my key with a look that lasted a moment too long. "You're here for the manor?" he asked quietly. I nodded. "Crowhurst Hall." His eyes narrowed slightly. "Be careful, lad. That house remembers everything." I brushed it off with a polite smile. Locals loved their legends. I'd seen it all before. Villages feeding stories to travelers like sweets to children. I was here for facts, not phantoms. That evening, I walked the wooded trail to Crowhurst. The hall rose from the overgrowth like a skeleton of its former self, ivy-choked stone, shattered windows, and an aura of mournful stillness. As I pushed open the rusted gate, the wind seemed to die. The front door groaned open without resistance. Inside, the air was cold. Stale. The wallpaper had peeled like shedding skin. Broken furniture and dusty portraits stared back at me. A heavy silence hung, thick as velvet. As I set up my equipment in the main hall, something caught my eye, a journal, left open on a half-collapsed writing desk. October 13, 1874. I no longer dream. The house has taken that, too. Eleanor Crowhurst. I froze. Her handwriting looked rushed. Desperate. Outside, the wind howled. But inside, something else whispered. Something, inside the walls. Chapter 2, The Journal. I sat on the rotting armchair by the hearth, brushing the dust from the journal's cover. The initials EC were barely visible on the leather. Eleanor Crowhurst. The first pages were typical, accounts of weather, garden growth, books she was reading. But as the entries progressed, the tone darkened. By October 1874, the journal became frantic. "Father will not speak to me. He's in the East Wing again, whispering through the walls. He calls it communion. But I hear screams." I flipped forward. "He has locked the séance room. Said I'm too earthbound to understand." But I saw the symbols. I saw the thing in the mirror. A sudden gust slammed a door upstairs. I froze. I wasn't alone. Heart racing, I set the journal down and followed the narrow staircase to the second floor. The hallway was long and crooked, lit only by the dying sun leaking through dusty stained glass windows. Halfway down, I stopped. There was a mirror, tall, framed in black wood. Cracked. And in it, for just a breath of a second, I saw her. A woman in a Victorian dress, long dark hair, pale face, watching me. But when I turned, there was nothing. Just silence. Back in the library, I searched for more clues. Behind the bookshelf, I discovered a narrow, cobweb-laced door. It opened with a groan that sounded far too human. Inside, a small study. Maps, old occult books, diagrams of the manor. At the center, pinned under a paperweight, was a drawing labeled "The Veil Room, Ritual Chamber beneath Crowhurst." Beneath? I studied the drawing. A spiral staircase was drawn behind the cellar wall. A note scribbled in ink. "Only the blood of the blood can open the way." Blood of the blood. Suddenly the air changed, colder. Heavier. I turned around. And there, behind me, stood the woman again, Eleanor, motionless, eyes hollow. I blinked, and she was gone. But in her place, the journal had opened to a page I hadn't yet read. October 31st. I begged him to stop. I begged him to seal it forever. But father is gone now. I fear I'm next. The veil is thinning. And below that, scrawled in the margin, like an afterthought. If anyone finds this, leave. Before the house remembers you. Chapter 3, Whispers in the Walls. I barely slept. Every creak, every breath of wind against the broken windowpanes felt deliberate. I told myself it was just the age of the place, but deep down, I knew the house was, listening. By dawn, I was already in the cellar. The stairs groaned underfoot, descending into darkness. My flashlight flickered. The air smelled of mildew and something else, iron. Old blood. I scanned the walls for anything unusual. There, near the far corner, a portion of stonework had different mortar. I pressed my hands to it. Hollow. Behind a pile of old barrels, I found the edge of a brick panel. Scraped into the brick in nearly invisible etching. Veil lies beneath. Only flesh may speak the key. That same phrase echoed in Eleanor's journal, blood of the blood can open the way. I cut the edge of my finger with my pocket knife, pressed it to the stone. Nothing. Then, I heard it. A whisper. Soft, feminine, echoing from the wall itself. Daniel. I stumbled back. I never told anyone I'd be here. No one knew my name. The stone shifted. A cold wind blew through a crack that hadn't been there before. The bricks trembled, then parted, stone grinding against stone. A hidden spiral staircase revealed itself, descending into pitch black. The steps were narrower than I'd expected. Older, too, far older than the manor itself. These weren't Victorian. They were ancient. At the bottom, I found a heavy wooden door. Carved into it, Vestigium Veli, footprint of the veil, in Latin. I pushed it open. The room was circular, low-ceilinged. Candles long extinguished sat in holders arranged in a pentagram. Symbols, occult, runic, alchemical, were carved into the stone floor. At the center, a broken mirror. Its surface shimmered. I reached toward it, and flinched back. For a second, I saw not my own reflection, but a young Eleanor, screaming silently. The room shuddered. I turned to run, but the staircase behind me was gone. Only stone. I was trapped. And then the whispers came again, this time, hundreds of them. Layered. Overlapping. Screaming. Weeping. Calling me by name. Daniel. Daniel. Join us. You opened the door. I backed into the corner, clutching the journal. The last page had changed. You were never meant to come here, Daniel. But now, you must finish what my father began. And underneath, freshly written in blood-red ink. The veil has chosen you. Chapter 4, The Seance Room. The walls pulsed. Not literally, but it felt that way. Like the stone itself had a heartbeat. I moved to the center of the chamber, where the mirror sat cracked upon a shallow altar. Dust coated everything, but the air shimmered faintly, like heat rising from a corpse. The journal trembled in my hand. Speak the right. Light the 5. Break the veil. I didn't know what it meant, until I noticed the 5 candle holders. Despite the dust, each had a wick that looked recently burned. I had a lighter in my bag. I lit them. One by one, the flames hissed to life. As the 5th candle caught, the mirror began to ripple like a pool of black water. My reflection blurred, then shifted. It was Eleanor again. This time, not silent. Her mouth moved. I leaned closer. She whispered. Say the words, Daniel. Or be trapped between forever. A passage had been added to the journal, more ink that hadn't been there before. From dust to bone, from breath to stone. Cross the veil, or die alone. I repeated it. The flames surged. The room spun. Suddenly, I wasn't in the chamber anymore. I stood in the drawing room of Crowhurst Hall, but not the one I knew. This one was intact, brightly lit with gas lamps, furnished, clean. A clock ticked above the hearth. Outside, horses neighed. And in the mirror across from me, I saw my reflection, except I was no longer wearing jeans and a jacket. I wore Victorian attire. This isn't a vision, I realized. This is possession. A voice behind me. He's not ready. He crossed too soon. I turned. A tall man stood near the window. Salt and pepper beard, sharp eyes, black coat. He looked like. You must be Daniel, he said. I'm Richard Crowhurst. Eleanor's father. I stepped back. You're dead. Yes, he said with a faint smile. But so are you. The room dissolved around me again. Candlelight, then darkness, then the mirror. And now, standing beside me, Eleanor. Not an image. Not a ghost. She took my hand. Her skin was cold, translucent, but real. You spoke the right, she said. You're one of us now. What is this place? I whispered. The veil, she said. A place between death and memory. We are echoes, waiting for release. The candles extinguished all at once. Total darkness. Only her voice remained. Finish the ritual. Free me, or stay forever. Chapter 5, The Crossing. Silence. Then breath, mine, ragged, shallow. I awoke lying on the cold stone floor, back in the veil room. The mirror now pulsed faintly, like it had a heartbeat of its own. The journal was gone. In its place lay a chalk circle, freshly drawn. 5 candles now floated midair, already lit. The flames didn't flicker. I stepped inside without meaning to, like something pulled me. A voice in my ear, not Eleanor's this time, but male. Harsher. Speak. Bind. Cross. Then another, Eleanor's. Daniel, don't let him finish it. You must break the link. My limbs moved on their own. My lips formed words I didn't know. Latin, maybe. Forgotten syllables from another time. The mirror brightened. Inside it, I saw scenes not of this world. A child screaming inside a coffin. A man clawing his own reflection. Eleanor, bound to a chair, her mouth sewn shut. I screamed. But no sound came out. The mirror cracked, then shattered outward. And from it stepped Richard Crowhurst. No longer a man, but a twisted, hollowed thing. His face flickered between flesh and skull, his eyes glowing like lanterns. You opened the gate, he growled. Now you must become its guardian. Chains burst from the floor and wrapped around my ankles. The veil wasn't just a place, it was a prison. And I was the key. Eleanor stepped between us. No more, father. You damned yourself. You won't take him, too. She reached for me, her hand glowing with a soft, silver light. The room exploded in light and flame. When I opened my eyes again, I was alone. Back in the Manor's main hall. Morning light streamed through the cracked windows. Had it all been a dream? I staggered to my feet. The journal lay at my feet. But now the cover read not EC, but DC. Daniel Cross. I opened it. The first page. October 31st. The manor has a new name now. A new keeper. A new echo. Mine. I looked in the cracked mirror nearby. And I saw myself in Victorian clothes. Just like Eleanor. Just like Richard. Chapter 6, Legacy. The fog was thick as the car pulled into Black Hollow. A young woman stepped out, early 30s, wide eyes behind glasses. Her name was Dr. Elise Warner, professor of folklore and author of Haunted Britain, Fact or Folklore. She'd come seeking a lost manor spoken of only in rumor and local whispers. Crowhurst Hall, she muttered to herself, staring at the crooked gate before her. Let's see if you really exist. She pushed open the gate. It groaned like it remembered. The hall stood frozen in time, exactly as Daniel Cross had once found it. Dusty. Silent. Cold. But something in the air had changed. As Elise explored, she felt, watched. Familiar footsteps echoed behind hers, though no one followed. Then, in the library, she found the journal. Its cover was plain. No initials. She opened it. To whoever finds this, it read. I was like you once. A seeker of truth. But the truth has weight. And the house never forgets a name. D.C. She laughed softly. Cute touch. She slipped the journal into her satchel. That night at the inn, the old keeper brought her tea. He looked at her bag, then at her. You went up to the manor. She nodded. You know the place? He didn't answer immediately. Just stared. Be careful, miss. That house, it remembers more than it should. Back at the manor, Elise couldn't sleep. Something called to her. A voice, not out loud, but in her mind. Come below. She returned to the cellar. The bricks shifted before she touched them. The hidden staircase opened without blood. The veil room awaited her, clean, waiting, candle wicks fresh and ready. On the floor, someone had drawn the ritual circle. She stepped inside. The mirror shimmered. In it, she saw a man with tired eyes in Victorian clothes. His hand pressed to the glass. Leave now, he mouthed. Before you become me. But Elise couldn't move. Behind her, 5 candles lit themselves. The mirror cracked. A single word echoed in her head, not hers. Welcome.